Welcome to the Duck Dive. Today we're jumping into a really fantastic book, Rick Riordan's Percy Jackson and the Olympians. The Lightning Thief.
hmm
It's the first one, obviously, in that huge series. And it just does this amazing job blending, ancient Greek myths with, modern life.
It really does.
So our goal here for this deep dive is basically to pull out the key stuff, the story, the characters, themes, why it's lasted so long, give you a good, solid understanding without, getting totally bogged down. Okay, let's unpack this.
Absolutely. And what's fascinating here is, thinking back to 2005 when it first came out,
Yeah.
it really hit a nerve. It's fantasy, mythology, adventure, all rolled into one. But I think the magic is how Riordan reimagined Greek mythology.
Yeah.
He made it feel fresh and super relevant.
Totally. And he does that through Percy Jackson himself, right? He's this 12-year-old kid, and he's struggling, got dyslexia, ADHD, feels like a bit of an outcast.
Pretty relatable for a lot of kids.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then bam, he finds out those struggles are actually part of who he is. He's a demigod.
Son of Poseidon, no less. God of the sea.
Right. And it all kind of explodes after this pretty terrifying run-in with a Fury who is pretending to be his math teacher.
Yeah, Mrs. Dodds. That scene really kicks things off and just pulls him into this hidden world.
It does. And this kind of raises an important question, doesn't it? How does this kid, who seems pretty normal on the surface, suddenly get thrown into this massive mythological reality?
Well, that's where Camp Half-Blood comes in. It's absolutely crucial. It's more than just a camp. It's a sanctuary.
A safe place?
A safe place, exactly, and a training ground for kids like him. Demigods. Kids who maybe felt out of place in the regular world. Here they belong. They learn about their powers.
And it's where he meets his core group, right?
Yes. He meets Annabeth Chase, super smart, strategic, daughter of Athena.
Right.
And his best friend, Grover Underwood, who, surprise, is actually a satyr, his protector, basically.
So just as he's starting to wrap his head around all this, centaurs, satyrs, his dad being a god, he gets hit with the main problem.
Oh, yeah. The central conflict.
He's accused, totally wrongly, of stealing Zeus's master lightning bolt.
Which is like the ultimate weapon of the gods.
Yeah.
Not something you want to misplace.
Definitely not. And the stakes are insane. Potential all-out war between the gods. Olympus is right on the edge.
So the pressure's on. Percy gets this urgent quest.
He has to find the bolt, prove he didn't take it, and get it back to Zeus by the summer solstice, which is 10 days away. Super tight deadline.
Yeah, no pressure. And here's where it gets really interesting. This quest, it's not just, go here, get the thing.
No way.
It turns into this epic, perilous journey across the United States. And this is where Riordan's genius really shines, I think.
Oh, so.
He blends the ancient mythology seamlessly with modern America. There's fighting Medusa, but she's running this, garden gnome emporium in New Jersey.
Oh, I remember that. Creepy.
Totally creepy. They battle Ares, the god of war, on a beach in California. They even go to the underworld, which happens to be under L.A.
Of course it is.
Right. And along the way, they're meeting other gods like Hades and Hermes, but also uncovering these layers of betrayal, hidden agendas. It's not straightforward.
Yeah, it really challenges Percy's ideas about who to trust, even among the gods.
Exactly. These aren't just physical battles. They're tests of character, of loyalty.
Which brings us to the climax in the underworld. Percy gets down there expecting Hades to have the bolt.
And plot twist, Hades doesn't have it. He thinks Percy stole his helm of darkness. He was set up too.
Right. Total setup. And the real kicker, the actual thief.
Yeah, this is a big one.
It's Luke Castellan, this older camper Percy kind of looked up to, son of Hermes.
Charismatic guy, seemed like a friend. Huge betrayal.
Devastating. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, Luke's reason for doing it, it's massive.
Absolutely. It's not just about causing chaos between the gods. He's working for someone much bigger.
Kronos.
The Titan Lord Kronos. Luke's disillusioned with the Olympians, feels abandoned by his father Hermes, and he's helping Kronos rise again to overthrow them.
So that twist completely changes the game. It's not just about one stolen item anymore.
Not at all. It sets the stage for the entire series arc. This huge conflict brewing between the Titans and the gods, with Percy right in the middle. It's brilliantly done.
So despite Luke getting away initially, Percy does manage to complete his original quest.
He does. He gets the bolt back.
And he returns it to Zeus on Mount Olympus, which again is just perfectly placed, hovering over the Empire State Building in Manhattan.
Such a cool visual. Love that detail.
And his meetings there with Zeus and then with his father, Poseidon, they're intense. There's this, like, grudging respect, maybe?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Zeus is still wary, but Poseidon, there's a connection there. A difficult one, but it's there. He claims Percy, acknowledges him. It's a big moment for Percy's identity.
Definitely. And even though the immediate crisis, the war, is averted.
The ending isn't quite happily ever after. Percy decides to go back to Camp Half-Blood for the year instead of just the summer.
Right. What's the significance of that, do you think?
Well, I think it shows he's accepted who he is now. He knows the danger isn't over. Not really. Cronus is still out there. Luke is still working for him.
So he's choosing to stay, to train, to be ready.
Exactly. It's a commitment. The first quest is done, but the larger fight, the one Luke's betrayal revealed, that's just getting started.
Yeah.
Really sets up book 2 and beyond.
Okay, let's quickly touch on the key players and places, just to anchor everything. Obviously, we have Percy Jackson.
Our hero. Brave, definitely impulsive, super loyal, son of Poseidon.
Annabeth Chase.
Daughter of Athena.
Mhm.
Very smart, strategic, becomes Percy's key partner and, well, eventual love interest.
Grover Underwood.
Percy's best friend. The satyr protector.
Hmm.
Loyal, maybe a bit anxious, but always there for Percy. Dreams of finding Pam.
Luke Costello.
The antagonist, really. Son of Hermes, charismatic, skilled, but deeply bitter, and working for Kronos.
Chiron.
The wise centaur, activities director at Camp Half-Blood. Percy's mentor figure. Can't forget Sally Jackson.
Oh, absolutely. Percy's amazing mortal mother. So kind, so brave in her own way.
And Poseidon himself, god of the sea, Percy's dad. Kind of distant, powerful, but you sense he cares.
The settings are almost characters themselves, aren't they?
Oh, for sure. Camp Half-Blood is central. The safe haven, the training ground. It feels real.
Then there's the whole U.S. road trip aspect. New Jersey, St. Louis with the Gateway Arch.
That crazy Lotus Hotel and casino in Vegas where time gets messed up.
Yes. And L.A. for the entrance to the underworld.
Which is its own distinct, gloomy realm. And finally, Mount Olympus, perched atop Manhattan. Each setting isn't just a backdrop. It's steeped in mythology, even in its modern version. It makes the world feel so rich.
It really does. Okay, moving beyond the plot, let's dig into some of the deeper meanings, the themes that make the book stick with you.
Yeah, there's a lot here. I think one of the most powerful is identity and self-discovery.
For Percy, definitely.
Absolutely. His whole journey is about figuring out who he is, not just as the demigod, but as a person. And what's really insightful is how Riordan handles the dyslexia and ADHD.
Right, they're not just like challenges he overcomes.
Exactly. They're reframed as part of his demigod nature. The ADHD gives him incredible battlefield reflexes, heightened senses. The dyslexia, it makes his brain naturally wired for ancient Greek.
Which is pretty cool. It turns perceived weaknesses into actual strengths in his world.
It's a fantastic message. And then there's the theme of friendship and loyalty.
Oh, yeah, that's huge. The bond between Percy, Annabeth, and Grover, it's really the heart of the story.
It is. They rely on each other, they argue, they make mistakes, but ultimately, their loyalty to each other is unwavering. It often saves the day more than any godly power does.
True. Which kind of leads into heroism and sacrifice, doesn't it? Percy isn't necessarily the strongest or the most skilled, especially at the start.
Not at all. But Riordan defines heroism differently here. It's about Percy's courage, sure, but it's also his compassion, his loyalty, his willingness to risk everything for his friends, for his mom.
He makes really tough choices.
He does. His heroism feels very human, very relatable, despite the epic circumstances. It's not just about having powers.
And finally, the big one we've touched on, Greek mythology in modern times.
It's the cornerstone of the book's success, I think.
Hmm.
Riordan doesn't just drop myths in, he weaves them into the fabric of the modern world so cleverly.
Like Ares riding a motorcycle, or Hermes being like a delivery guy CEO.
Exactly. Or the entrance to the underworld being a recording studio.
Yeah.
It makes these ancient, sometimes complex stories feel immediate, relevant, and honestly just really fun.
It makes it so accessible. So thinking about all this, what does it mean for you, the reader or listener? The impact of this book was pretty massive, right?
Oh, absolutely massive. The Lightning Thief wasn't just well reviewed. It was a commercial juggernaut. People loved the humor, the fast pace, how easy it was to get into, and especially that unique take on mythology.
And it launched a huge franchise.
Huge. Multiple book series, graphic novels, even a musical. But maybe more importantly, its legacy is how it got millions of kids and adults, too, excited about Greek mythology.
Yeah, you hear about it being used in schools all the time.
It really revitalized interest. It made learning about these myths feel like an adventure, not homework. That's a pretty incredible achievement.
Definitely. And we should probably mention the adaptations. There was the 2010 movie,
Mm-hmm.
Percy Jackson and the Olympians,
Mm-hmm.
The Lightning Thief, which, let's just say it got mixed reactions from the book fans.
Yeah, a lot of criticism for changing things, aging up the characters.
Quite a few deviations from the source material, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is why there was so much excitement around the new Disney Plus series.
Right, the one with Walker Scobell as Percy. That one seems designed to stick much closer to the book.
That's the promise, and so far, the reception seems much more positive from the core fan base. It feels like a chance to get that faithful adaptation people have wanted.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive, it feels pretty clear that The Lightning Thief is way more than just a kid's adventure story.
Oh, absolutely.
It's this brilliant fusion of ancient myths and a very modern coming-of-age tale. It makes these big old ideas feel exciting and really relevant.
Mm-hmm.
It really does. And I think, this deep dive kind of reminds us how these ancient stories, even when they're repackaged for a new generation like this, they still tap into something fundamental.
Yeah, so.
They speak to those universal human experiences, right? Finding your place in the world, figuring out friendships, facing challenges that feel impossible.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe a final thought to leave you with is this. Percy's story challenges us to think about what heroism really looks like in our own lives.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's not about big epic quests, but about loyalty, about courage, and maybe, just maybe, recognizing that sometimes our greatest strength are hidden in the things we thought were weaknesses.